All right, so let's continue here with Jeff Hafley's presser. As Aaron Jones is set to make his return to Lambeau Field on Sunday, Packers defensive coordinator Jeff Hafley talks about the challenge of stopping him both in the run and the pass. Crank that volume up, ladies and gentlemen. Here we go.
What quality about Aaron Jones, when you watch the tape, jumps out at you most?
He runs with violence. He's got this burst to him that he just wants to run through people. And he's fast. He can bounce it and hit it. And he's got a great stiff arm. He's an explosive player, and he can catch the ball to the backfield. He's good in the screen game. They empty him out. They release him through the backfield. He's a complete player. And you guys probably know it better than I do because you've been around him for so long. So like I said, I don't know him like everybody around here knows him. And it kind of sounds like I wish I did know him because he seems like, one of the greatest guys around. And that's awesome. And this week we got to do everything we can to play great defense against him.
So obviously he's well aware of Aaron Jones and the threat he's going to be. Listen, you're going to get the best Aaron Jones come Sunday.
Yeah.
You got to come out there. Listen, cheer him when he comes out of the tunnel.
Mm-hmm.
Give him his standing ovation. Thank you for your service. And then when they're on the field, you get loud and you get nasty, right? Because it's all about getting that dub. I think by cheering like that, guys, it kind of makes a player a little emotional, Takes your game a touch.
Clayton wants him to get in your head. If you're not throwing dust as you're sliding into second, you're not trying, right?
Now, if you boo him coming out and you're just rude as hell, he's going to be like, you know what, screw these people. Let's turn it loose, right?
Right.
And the emotions are out the window. It's just going to be anger and running hard. Aaron Jones is still a dog.
Yeah.
The reason he's not in Green Bay is because Goody's this is the way I think Goody approached it. He's like, okay, we got him at this number. The dude took a pay cut 2 years in a row, first of all, right? So you can't expect him to take a third one. Goody's looking at Josh Jacobs. Hey, Josh Jacobs here. We can get him for this price. He's going to be better long-term than Aaron Jones because Aaron Jones is obviously older. And let's be real, he's been battling injuries. That'll probably resurface at some point this year. I can't imagine he's going to stay healthy for all 17 games. But, man, you cannot deny he is still Aaron Jones on the field. He is lighting it up this year.
Yeah. And it's not like we don't have great memories of him running up and down that field, that specific field. He knows what cleats he's going to wear. He knows how to prepare out there. He knows what it's going to feel like. So it's not like it's, he's never been there before. But like you said, we got to cheer him when he comes out, and we just got to play him hard. This will be the first time they're probably tackling him 100% ever. And maybe they did it sometimes in practice, but, Rashawn Gary's going to have a shot at him. Kenny's going to have a shot. Preston. Him and Aaron Jones their moms are, they're good friends, and he said that they might be together, for a little bit during the game, just because how great of people they are. So, we love him for everything he's done, but yeah, we need to go out there and stop him. We definitely need to keep him under 100 yards, and I think we got a great shot.
Yeah, I do too, man. I think that the whole scouting, the whole game plan should be geared around shutting down Aaron Jones. So,
but we had him in a pony package. We had him out wide. Matt LaFleur has done all these things with him. It's not like we don't know that he could line up at wide receiver and be up against Quay. You know what I mean? Like we could get ourselves into that predicament, and they know that as well. If they like that matchup, they're gonna try to exploit it.
Yeah, no doubt about it, man. So let's talk about what the defensive game plan may or may not be for defeating the Minnesota Vikings offense here. And let's just start to dive into some of the charts here. Okay, let's start with Aaron Jones week 1. What do you notice here, Emilio? 14 carries, 94 yards, and a touchdown. This was against the Giants. A lot of success running left, didn't they? Uh-oh. I think we might have a delay here, Emilio.
Whoa, hopefully storm's rolling in. I'm good.
All right, so what I said was Aaron Jones week 1 against the Giants, a lot of success running left here. As you can see, 6 attempts for 41 yards and a touchdown. Outside left, inside left, 3 attempts for 28 yards. Inside right, only 3 attempts for 16 yards. Outside right, 2 for 9 yards. So kind of see a theme there against the Giants, right?
Yep.
All right, so week 2 against San Fran, Tyson Chandler actually had a better game than Aaron Jones, so we keyed in on his run chart here. So this is against San Fran. He had the most success wide zone right, or wide right, I should say, outside right. 3 attempts off tackle for 32 yards. Second most successful in that game was inside left at 3 attempts for 26 yards. Then outside left, 3 attempts for 18 yards. Inside right, 1 attempt for 6 yards. Aaron Jones that week struggled. 9 carries, 32 yards. You could see, though, the game plan there was to run outside right, off tackle right, 2 attempts, 18 yards. Same as Tyson Chandler. That's where they had their success. So week 1, outside left. Week 2, outside right. Very versatile in that regard. They've got 2 of the best tackles in the game right now, right? So I think that between Christian Darrisaw and O'Neal at right tackle, Darrisaw at left tackle, O'Neal at right tackle, you've also got Randall at left guard. You can run outside either way, and Aaron Jones running violent the way that Coach Hafley was talking about, man, he's really built for that style of run. Stretch it outside, cut it back in across the grain. The same thing he did to San Francisco in the playoffs there a couple of years ago. Actually, last year, remember the big run he had? It was off tackle left, cut it all the way back across the field, took it up the sideline for a huge explosive. So
that means the backside DN, or the backside end's got to stay home. You got to stay in your gap. You got to know where you're filling. But yeah, if we could have him at 9 or 10 carries for 30 yards and force Sam to have to throw the ball because we get up to a lead, I think we're in business.
Yeah, no doubt. So week 3 against Houston, inside left, all right, off guard left, 8 attempts, 73 yards. Outside left, 6 attempts, 19 yards. Inside right, 4 attempts for 7 yards. Outside right, 1 attempt for 3 yards. So if you had to lean one way or the other,
they're running left.
You need to lean left. Now, they can run it off tackle right, so you can't get too crazy, but you need to be well aware. How do you approach that? Do you widen your tech just a little bit? Do you go, instead of a 3 tech, you go to a 4-eye on that side? And you, instead of a 1 tech, you just play shade over the center, kind of a nose approach. Do you get aggressive there, or do you bring up an extra safety in the box and let everybody play their normal splits, or even play kind of an even look on the front, right? There's a couple different ways you can approach this. But if you had to choose which way to cheat a half a gap, it's going to be to the left against the Vikings here early in the season. So
yeah, it's got to be. And I was just kind of looking here. His inside the tackles last game against the Texans, 63%. The Niners was 67 or 66%, and the Giants was 42%. And I'm thinking maybe they were trying to run away from Bosa or something. I didn't watch the Vikings-Niners game, but maybe that's it, or they just feel more comfortable running the ball over the left side. He's also been under center at minimum 77%, which was the Niners game, 78% for the Giants, and 84% for the Texans. So he's got a 2-way go all the time. Where we had put him a lot in sidecar, he looks like he's coming downhill left or right a lot more, which gives that 2-way option. So again, going to be a little bit tougher on the defense. We got to make sure we're gap sound.
Definitely, no doubt about it. So again, what did we learn? Running game. First of all, Sam Darnold, not a big threat to scramble, right? So push the middle of the pocket, okay? And here's the thing too, with your edges, you need to stay gap sound on that outside shoulder. But again, if we're running a 4-3, how do you want to approach that, right? If we're in base a lot, it's technically a 1 gap. But remember what Coach LaFleur said, 2 back equals 2 gap. What we uncovered, here is their personnel tendencies in Minnesota. 11 personnel, 62.3% of the time. That's 18th most in the league. So we're going to be in our nickel set the majority of the time. We may go big nickel. We'll see. 12 personnel, 20.4% of the time. That's 16th most in the league. So that's kind of middle of the pack. 21 personnel, 15% of the snaps. That's 6th most in the league. So you're going to see a lot of 2-back sets, Emilio. Remember, 2 back equals 2 gap. That's Matt LaFleur's words, not mine. No matter if you're running a 34 or a 43. Now, we'll see if Hafley chooses to just get really aggressive and go 1 gap. We'll see. But that's definitely something to keep your eye on there when it comes to the running game for sure. So, and if we were to look at the EPA, and this is just strictly through personnel, this doesn't differentiate between run and pass. They're good at both, to be honest with you. Their highest efficiency as far as personnel goes, in 12 personnel, their EPA is 0.35 per play. That's 2nd best in the league. They are really effective out of 12 personnel. 21 personnel, their EPA is 0.01. That's 11th best in the league. And then 11 personnel, their EPA is 0.06. That's 14th best in the league. So 12 personnel, 21 personnel, then 11 personnel in order of efficiency, if you will. Again, though, they run 11 personnel 62% of the time. So their least efficient offensive formation or personnel, I should say, that's what they're best at. Now let's talk about the splits. Okay, let's talk about how they line up. Formationally, 1-by-3, one target on the left, trips or tray right. Okay, their EPA is 0.46 when they go trips or tray right. That's second best in the league.
Mm-hmm.
All right, 2-by-2, meaning two targets on the left, two targets on the right, even set, 0.35 EPA. That's third best in the league. And then 2-by-1 sets, 2 on the left, 1 on the right. That's probably your 21 personnel, probably going strong left out of the 21. 0.19 EPA. That's ninth best in the league. So the big thing there is there's no real tendency there other than keying on their 1-by-3. I guarantee you Hafley's going when their trips are tray right, what's their top concepts and how do they like to run? My guess is if they go tray right out of 11, they're probably running weak side, and that's where you're getting some of those big gains on the left outside with Aaron Jones.
Right. Especially if you're manning up or anything like that. You got to account for everyone over there. If you're not sending anyone over, they know it's zone. And if they're confident, if they're going trips right, confident running the ball over the left tackle, left guard, keep forcing it. If your box is, if the box is light, even if it's, 7, even if it's even, keep running it. And I saw that Jones was even making it happen on a stack box. He had stack box 47% of the time against the against the Texans. So, he still can do it. It's not like he can. And he ran it inside against the Texans a lot.
Yeah, no doubt about it. All right. So that is kind of when you're talking personnel, formation, all that good stuff, that kind of gives you an idea of where they sit, how often we're going to be in nickel. We're going to be in nickel a large majority of the time, but they're really way more effective EPA-wise in 12 and 21. And again, look for the 1-by-3 trips tray right, look for the 2-by-2 sets, and then the 2-by-1. If I was Hafley, I would spend 0 time on trips and tray left. I wouldn't even worry about it, to be honest with you. I'd just focus on those other 3 formations and roll with it. Let's talk about Sam Darnold's pass chart. Week 1 against the Giants, he was 19 of 24 for 208, 2 touchdowns and a pick. You see here, really likes to throw to the right, highly efficient short right passing game. Maybe 6 for 6 for 44 yards and under 10 yards out on the right side of the field. 2 for 2 from 10 to 20 yards on the right side for 29 yards, and then hit the only shot he took deep right, 21 yards. That was a touchdown pass. That was obviously more than 30 yards. So week 1 against the Giants, you would say he really liked to lean on throwing right. Okay, that's the tendency there. Week 2 against San Francisco, same exact thing. He's throwing the ball the majority of the time to the right. That's where he's heating up at. Deep middle, 2 for 2, 123 yards and a touchdown, beyond 20 yards down the seam. So keep that in mind. But again, he's throwing right the majority of the time. Week 3 against Houston, he opened it up a little bit more, had a little more success to the left. But still, it seems like, Emilio, his deep shots are going to be on the right side of the field too. So pretty even chart. But if I had to lean one way or another, I would be looking to get pressure from his right to deter him from throwing to the right, which is obviously his comfort zone.
Right. Yeah. You want to get pressure in his face if he's turning ball side all the time. And I think that it's going to be key that we can keep our front four fresh. I think we got to keep that hockey line, that rotation going. If we can keep just sending them, bring out the NASCAR package, do anything you can to get him flustered, is going to be huge. Look at that completion percentage, 19 of 24. We're not at, like, that's how much we asked Malik to pretty much throw it, right? It's not like, it's not like they're asking him to throw it 52 times a game. So
they're not Chicago, right?
Yeah, right. See, the offense is there. I mean, and with X being up there, I think those 30-yard deep balls are going to be maybe a little bit, few and far between. But that also means that sometimes X walks up to the line. Bull's got to be ready. He's got to be that safety net. We can't give up the big explosive. It can't be a one-play drive. It definitely cannot. I don't think that that's gonna bode well for the offense coming back out and then forcing the defense into having to try to play catch up.
Definitely. Randy Cleaver's in the chat says our defense is going to make Darnold look the way he's supposed to. I hope you're right, Randy. That would be absolutely awesome. And again, he faced San Francisco, right?
Mm-hmm.
Let's go back one more time. Against San Fran, he had a pretty darn good game, right? 17 to 26, 268 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 pick. That's pretty decent. That'll get the job done, right? So he's faced a good defense. I don't know if it's a better defense than ours, to be honest with you. I'd have to look at the numbers there. But, yeah, the big thing is going to be the turnovers too, man. We've got to control the turnover differential. It's going to be huge. Control the turnover differential. That's the reason they beat Houston last week. It really is. And not just they beat them, but they boat raced them. They won, or the middle eight was tied. However, Emilio, Minnesota did score with 10:22 left in the third quarter. So that was just a little more than 30 seconds away from being middle eight. So you're still grabbing that momentum in that regard. And then the turnover differential, they won that 2-0. They protected the football, and they were able to, like I said, capitalize on C.J. Stroud and that offense making a couple mistakes. Now, keep in mind, too, that was in Minnesota. That's one of the loudest stadiums in the country, right? Well, you're going to be in Green Bay. You're going to be in Lambeau this week. So I'm excited to see if we can kind of do the same thing to Minnesota that they did to Houston there in the dome up there in that loud environment. We got to get loud. Got to get loud.
Mm-hmm. Have to get loud. What we have 80,000 up there, got to be screaming. And I think that we really need to force Sam. I think we need to force him to throw it over 30 times. I think that if we can get him into a passing game, I think we take that battle. Force their O-line to pass block a lot more, going back pedal, because they've been really comfortable running the ball forward. And we have to keep Aaron Jones. I mean, probably 150 total with receiving and stuff. But if we can keep him under 100 running, I think we're in good shape. But they got a backup. It's not like we just shut one down. We got to play complementary football.
Yeah, definitely. Dennis Shook says Clayton Darnold feasted on Dre Campbell in coverage. Well, you love to see it, don't you? My man was talking about how happy he is in San Francisco and how horrible it was being in Green Bay, and got out there and got his ass kicked. So you love to see it, man, for sure. I seen a lot of tweets coming on that, like, oh yeah, Dre Campbell ain't that good in coverage. Who would have knew, right? Greg Rice, doesn't Minnesota run a lot of 2 tight ends? So again, they run 12 personnel, which is 1 running back, 2 tight ends, 20.4% of the time. That's 16th most in the league. I wouldn't say they run a lot of it. It's kind of middle of the pack, but it is 20% of their offense so far this season. So that's how those numbers shake out there.
When they're in 12, it's 2 backs, right? It's like a fullback, or is it 2 running backs? Did we know that?
12 personnel is 1 running back, 2 tight ends.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. 21.
Yeah. 21 personnel, they run 15% of the time. That's 2 running backs, 1 tight end.
Do we know if it's 2 halfbacks, or do they run like an I formation kind of stuff?
I'm sure they run with a fullback.
Okay.
I'm trying to think of how I could get that information.
Me too. That's why I was trying to dig it up while I was asking, but
yeah, it's only showing 12. The fact that they got 2, you're right though, man. They may go with their own pony package. I didn't even think about that. That might be the case. Because again, we put up what was it, week 2, Tyson Chandler? Right. Pretty good game, right? 10 carries, 82 yards. So that would kind of suggest that for sure.
And we're wondering, what's our matchup going to be? If Aaron Jones goes out, is it going to be Quay? If they bring out another running back, is it going to be Bullard coming up? Is it going to be Cooper walking out? Is it going to be Wilson in coverage, McDuffie? Those are the things he's got to kind of, Hafley's got to kind of decide now. Ideally, we want to be in X, Y, and Z matchups, going into this versus this personnel.
Yeah. We could comb through NFL Pro. We can't do it live, obviously, but we could probably find out because they do a great job on PC showing exactly who's on the field, Yeah. So I could get that answer for you. I just didn't prep for that question. I think we prepped for everything else.
Yep. See, there we go again. Asking questions we don't know the answer to.
It's all right, man. Hey, it's a good question. We need to get the answer to it for sure. All right, let's dive into the PFF preview here real quick. When it comes to our defense against their offense, we hit the other earlier today, and let's see if we can get this to where we can all see it fairly decent here. Let me widen this out, man. The NASA computer acted strange tonight, Emilio.
I'm telling you, that storm's rolling in.
Yeah, it might be, man. It might be. It's just I'm still trying to figure out how everything works. So you got a redneck over here like a mad scientist trying to figure everything out. Here we go. Look at this. Look at that right there. All right, so when it comes to our defense matching up against their offense, let's start with base again. Actually, let's start with 11. That's what they're going to be in the most, right? So let's go with our nickel, against their 11 personnel. They don't have their 21. That's why I couldn't answer that question for you. They've just got their 12. So when you look at these matchups right off the bat, the big thing that sticks out to me, look at their offensive line, man. They're stout. There's no doubt about it. Christian Darrisaw, left tackle, 82.8. That's the 8th highest graded tackle in the game. Left guard, Brandel, 75.8. He's the 11th highest graded guard in the NFL. Bradbury at center is the 16th highest graded center at 64.8. Ingram seems to be the weak link there at right guard at a 56.3. He's the 53rd highest graded guard in the game. And then right tackle, you got O'Neal at 75.2. I want to take a quick glance here because we're going to have Rashawn Gary lined up over him. Pass blocking is his weakness, 68.7. Not horrible, but unless they're going to chip, Gary might be able to eat again this week, man. If they go to chipping, then you see what happened in Tennessee. It freed up a lot of other pass rushers. So,
And looking at the rest of their run blocking stats there, it looks like the entire line is over, a 75 for run blocking. So, that's big. It does look like I did see they have CJ Ham, their fullback, number 30. It does look like he has 21 run plays, 21 of them blocked, and he's a 67.9. So
that's probably that 21 personnel, then.
It does look like he is getting some of those reps.
It might be a mix too. Might be that fullback and they're running a little pony too. Right?
Yep, definitely.
That make a lot of sense. So, all right, good stuff. Thank you for pulling that up, man. As far as our defensive line matching up, Preston Smith on Darrisaw, 69.9. Preston Smith is now the 30th highest graded edge defender out of 114 that are on this list. Milio, that's a borderline starter, bro.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, starting number one. So when you're in the top 32, that really says a lot. Now, Gary's grade is in the tank at 55.2. Of course, we've showed you the chip rate. One of the reasons why is he's getting eat up with double teams. Now, you can filter out that information and find the true pass set. I don't have time to look at that. That would kind of talk about Gary's ability and success in one-on-one situations. We ain't got time to really look it up. But he's over O'Neal. I kind of like that matchup a lot there. And I like Preston Smith and what he may or may not do against Darrisaw there, man. That's going to be a hell of a matchup there. Devontae White, who's become kind of our true three-tech, 65.5. That's the 37th highest graded defensive lineman in the game. Brandel, he's going to be matched up with Brandel and Bradbury probably quite a bit. More Brandel than Bradbury because he's going to be playing more of a three-tech on that side of the field in between the guard and the tackle, I would imagine. Now, Kenny Clark has been the big – Milio, this is bad, bro. This is really bad. Kenny Clark, 37.9 according to PFF. I mean, Ryan did an extensive job on his podcast the other day removing some of the noise of the true pass sets. It's not good enough, man. There's no two ways about it. And when you look at what he's done, let's just start in 2020. Let's start in 2019. 79.5, 76.1, 75.4, 66.4, and then he rebounded to a 70.4 last year. Again, PFF isn't everything, but anyone who watches the tape, and if you watch the tape last year, everyone's excuse was, well, he's getting double teamed. Well, they're asking him to play nose. They're asking him to do this. They're doing that. He's going – Milio, everyone talked about how he is going to eat in this 4-3 defense, right? And my argument was, guys, we're still going to be in nickel. That's one gap. That's not two gap. So we're playing one gap a large majority of the time. There's some situations where they would play two gap out of the nickel, but the large majority of the time was one gap. And he didn't play all that well last year, 70.4. Now he had his highest sack total, so everybody loses their mind. You guys heard me talking about the broken tackle, missed tackle percentage, which is through the roof. This is not good, man. 37.9. It's tough, dude. Run defense grade got even lower this year at a 40. His pass rush grade is now dropped to a 59.7. So I don't know, man. How do you feel about it? Am I being too hard on Kenny here, man?
No, I mean I think it's fair, right? I don't think Kenny wants to be playing the way he is right now. I mean I'm not mad because he's also been on the field for those 3 turnovers we had. It's not like he's it's not like he's not doing anything. Obviously, his grades aren't perfect, right? And they're not high right now. So he's not happy about it. All the fans aren't happy about it. I'm sure the coaches want him to be better. But it also seems like his overall numbers are kind of going down throughout the years. But it seems like this one's kind of just like such an outlier that I almost don't want to believe it. I kind of want to shut my eyes for a couple more weeks and see how it goes. But we knew that we were going to micromanage someone or something about the team. We just were hoping probably it wasn't going to be Kenny right off the bat. And I think that, maybe let's give him till about week 8. And I think that number is going to be back in the 60s, ideally pushing 70s, 80s, just climbing back up just because, he is a key component to this team. I think he's got a lot of smarts down there. He knows some of the ins and outs, the tricks of the trade. He's been here for a long time. So I just, I hope the best for him, obviously.
Yeah. J. Cole says Kenny hasn't looked good at all, and I think we will be drafting a defensive lineman in the first round next draft. What's crazy is, like, I was talking about drafting a defensive tackle in last year's draft, right? Byron Murphy was one that I was like, boy, if we can get our hands on him somehow, trading up because he did fall a little bit. You guys remember how long it was before a defensive player was taken in that draft? Mm-hmm. And here we still took an offensive tackle who has been converted to guard and is missing significant time, obviously, with Jordan Morgan. Still like the pick. He was right there in that range on my board. It's like, okay, that's a solid pick. But I thought going into this past offseason, you try to draft Kenny's replacement, you let him test the market, and that's how you make a true evaluation of, is it worth it to re-sign him? They did totally the opposite. They didn't draft a defensive lineman, and then they turned around and extended him. I was like, what the hell do I know, right? And then lo and behold, unfortunately, so far I've been proven right, and it sucks because we need Kenny to perform big time, man, big time. So it's just tough. It's a tough adjustment here for sure. AFAM points out might be a bit of an adjustment because he was playing nose, ? AFAM. What's crazy is if you turn on the tape last year, and there's been, listen, this isn't a dig at you. Everybody was saying he was playing nose. He's playing nose. Turn on the tape from last year. He wasn't playing nose. There was many times he was in 3-tech. I would feel comfortable saying at least 50% of his snaps last year he was in 3-tech. So, again, with the 34 jam, when you played your base defense, TJ Slayton was the nose. You remember, Emilio? It was always TJ Slayton in there playing the nose in a 34 jam.
Yep.
And then when you would go nickel, I was surprised to see Devontae White, TJ Slayton getting more snaps than I thought he was going to get because Wyatt got a few less or, whatever. Wyatt still got the bulk of the snaps, but TJ Slayton got a lot of them. They were still playing him at the nose, and Kenny was playing the 3-tech. This year, you've got Kenny playing more of that 1 to 2-tech, and Devontae Wyatt kind of playing more 3-tech, at least without diving too far into the numbers. Watching the tape, it does feel like that's what's been going on. So
yeah, looking up just really quickly off PFF, their detailed position stats from him last year, it looks like nose tackle specifically throughout the year, it looked like 14 snaps at specific, head up nose right would be 3 and nose left would be 32. So, I mean, under 50 snaps from last season at the nose. And looking at it this year, we had him real quick. Looks like he hasn't been head up yet. Nose left, nose right combined for 6 total. Yeah. So it looks like he's down left, down right a lot, where, 47, 53 snaps. Left end a little bit and right end a little bit. I think I kind of like that too. Let's give him an opportunity if we want him to be a pass rusher. Maybe put him outside on that overload, maybe short side of the field, overload it and, really put him in an advantageous situation because it's not like everybody else. We've seen Carl Brooks come in and crash 3 dudes. He's not afraid to stick his notice in there just so that, one of his teammates can get, their numbers.
Yeah, no doubt, man. All right, so moving along here, we're getting up against the clock here real quick. We talked about the offensive line against the defensive line. Let's move on to running back and tight end versus linebackers. Don't like our matchup here. Aaron Jones, 81.4, the 4th highest graded running back. Munt, not a good tight end at a 45.1. If we go 12, let's see if there's a better tight end than Munt. Oliver is actually grading out significantly higher at 56.6. PFF seems to think he's lower than him on the depth chart. I don't want to take the time to see if he actually is, to be honest with you.
Right.
So at linebacker, so again, Aaron Jones, one of the best running backs in the league right now. Linebacker Quay Walker, 75th out of 77 backers at a 40.7. Again, coverage grade, which was his strength is now 37.2. His pass rush grade is the only thing keeping him at a 40.7 overall defensive grade. Run defense grade is 53.9 currently. Now, he has played 156 as stack backer in the box. He's actually played out a little bit wide, what would be considered slot corner, 25 snaps, and he's been mugging on the defensive line 5 times. I almost feel like in a game like this where you've really got to control the running game with Aaron Jones, go to a 4-3 under or over, put Quay on the line of scrimmage, let Edgerrin Cooper kind of play behind him. That's how I'm feeling, but I don't know if Hafley will approach it that way.
Yeah, because, if he's our best cover linebacker, are we going to – who would you rather have on Aaron Jones, I guess would be my next question.
Well, I don't think we're going to be playing a whole lot of man coverage. If you remember the chart, if we continue with this, so far the Packers have played the majority of their snaps. They played cover 3 zone or cover 3 match, okay? And then 19% of the time was cover 1. So we're playing cover 3 32% of the time, cover 1 19% of the time, cover 6 17% of the time, and then cover 4 12% of the time, along with cover 2 man. So essentially, we have played man coverage 32% of the time, 32% of the snaps, and zone everything else. So, I mean, yeah, that is a significant amount of man coverage. You're right. Who would we want on Aaron Jones in man coverage? The answer is nobody.
Right.
I don't like that matchup for any of our linebackers, right? And that could be a problem because Isaiah McDuffie, 49.0. Can we just put Edgerrin Cooper out there already? You know what I'm saying?
Ready?
Like,
Are you
if
ready?
we go to the base, Eric Wilson's still the other one that they're going, hey, scream and put him in. He only got 8 snaps last game, but his grade's still at 92.1. So.
Right. That's tough, man, because we saw how explosive he is, but I also saw him kind of get out of position on a couple, which I'm not mad at because I'd rather, like Hafley say, make a mistake 100 miles an hour. Let's go back and correct it later because, 1, I don't want you hurt. 2, I want you to make the play. So you got to be going full speed. And I still want Quay out there. I mean, obviously he's not been performing, but I feel comfortable with him out there. He had that 3rd down stop. He broke on Will. He was out there he played every snap. Him and X were on there for every snap of the defense. That means something. There's something more there that he brings than just the 49 grade or whatever it is, right? He brings a lot to that defense that probably isn't on the stat sheet, but he is also there for all these turnovers. So I'm not mad at that. If that's how our defense is going to be, let it be that. But yeah, we need him to step up, and obviously him and Kenny want to play better.
Yeah, definitely. All right, let's look at wide receiver versus our DBs here. So obviously Justin Jefferson, the 8th highest graded receiver in the league right now, 81.1. Their 2nd highest graded receiver is Jordan Addison at a 68.5, and then their slot receiver Powell, 64.3. Not bad. 56 highest graded receiver out of 116. Pretty solid there from their receiving core. As far as corners and how they match up, let's say that Ja does follow, and I'm not saying he will, okay? But Jair Alexander on Justin Jefferson 81.1, Jair Alexander 74.8. Don't look now, Emilio. Jair Alexander is now the 12th highest graded corner in the league according to PFF. That's exciting, dude. He's starting to climb back up those ranks. That's great to see. You've got Stokes on Jordan Addison. Stokes, 68.3, 31st highest graded corner in the game right now. That's a borderline number 1 corner rating across the board according to PFF. Jordan Addison's a 68.5. He's been banged up, minimal snaps, so we'll see if he's 100% healthy. And then Powell against Nixon, almost a push there, 64.3 against Nixon, 60.4 is how that shakes out. So I feel pretty good about our corners matchups here. It's going to be more about scheme than anything. Me personally, that's kind of how I see that. Now, at the safety position, Xavier McKinney is the 11th highest graded safety at 77.4. Javon Bullard is the 55th highest graded safety at 56.4. Obviously, just a solid number 2. You want to get that number in the 60s, don't get me wrong. That's kind of the measuring stick. Above 60 for a rookie is a solid performance. But anytime you're grading out inside of the top 60 as a starting safety, you're kind of, all right, more or less than your average, right, across the league. So
yeah, and I mean, he had a quiet game last week. He was in on a lot, but it wasn't anything crazy. He was there, at the end of tackles kind of thing. I was looking at their receivers. Justin Jefferson, his average depth of target 13.7, Jalen Naylor 14.3, and Jordan Edison 11.5. With Trent Sherfield at 9 yards. I mean, they are pushing the ball down the field. It looks like, you know what I mean. It's not just short dink and dunks. 10-yard passes for each of their average targets is a deep passing game. So I think that we really need to force him. Force him to try to get the ball out quick, or force him to hold it, try to get those long routes, and have our D-line get there.
Yeah. And again, when you look at the passing chart, you kind of see it there in that 10 to 20 range, right? 10 to 20, and then, of course, 10 to 20. There you go.
Yeah, and you want to force it to. And that's – I mean, that's their offense right there. Let's get a couple deep balls and then just run. Get a couple deep balls, run it, and everybody's open. It's a match made in heaven when the offense can work like that.
Yeah, and here's the Kevin O'Connell effect, the KOC effect on Sam Darnold. Look at his career grades: 64.7, 63.6, 58.4, 54.7, 63, 66, and with Kevin O'Connell through 3 games, 82.3. I mean, you got to give credit where credit's due. My man is lighting it up right now.
Right.
Obviously, he's still fairly young too. He's 27 years old. That's a pup in quarterback years. So definitely maximizing his opportunity. Let's hope that we shut him down this weekend. That would be awesome to just have them hit that Jeff Hafley wall come Sunday.
Yep.
So, all right, there's your PFF preview. We covered offense earlier today. We covered defense just now. We're going to continue to take notes as we break this stuff down and kind of give you guys a full game plan on how we think they should approach trying to defeat the Minnesota Vikings here come Sunday at Lambeau Field. The big thing that I've come up with so far, Emilio, and we'll wrap this thing up. So when it comes to offense, you really want to lean into 12 balanced. So 1 running back, 2 tight ends, 2x2 set. That's a balanced look. So what you want to do is probably start with a tray right or a tray left, and then pre-snap motion to gather a little information and settle into the 2x2 out of the 12 personnel. Okay, that's what they struggle with the most. If I remember correctly, in 2x2 sets, their EPA allowed was 0.02. That was 16th in the league. So that's kind of a weak spot there. The other thing is 1x3 sets. So we're going trips and tray right for the Packers. The Vikings were 14th in EPA allowed in 1x3 sets at -0.11. So you want to attack in that regard. The big matchup for me, Jaden Reed versus Murphy Jr. in the slot could be huge. Could be absolutely huge. I'm hearing more and more people talk about that in the fantasy realm too. Like, hey, this might be a big game for Jaden Reed. So look out for that. So Reed versus Murphy in the slot, use 12 balance, use trips and tray right. Okay, that's what they're weak at. As far as stopping them, lean towards run left. They're having a lot of success running left, and Sam Darnold loves to use the right side of the field throwing the football. Yep. Not a huge threat to scramble, so you should be able to pin your ears back. This is the first game this year we can pin our ears back and actually go without worrying about a contain. You've seen it in the second half against the Titans because you jumped up to a big lead. And now let's let the dogs loose, right?
That's a great point. I think that gets me excited because maybe Hafley has something like that teed up. We just haven't been able to see it because of the mobility of the quarterbacks we've played against. Sam Darnold being not a stick in the mud back there, but someone that's going to be standing back there most of the time trying to spin it around is going to be fun for the D-line to go after. Maybe we don't get there. Let's get our hands up, punch and jump and, just make it difficult for them. But I think we have to force them into passing situations as much as we can and try to get them out of running the ball with that O-line that they have. Yeah.
As far as Tuesday players on their defensive side of the ball, so when we're on offense, their Tuesday players are Harrison Smith. Obviously, let me pull it back up here. I won't put it on the screen, but I'll just kind of let you guys know here. Harrison Smith, the 6th highest graded safety in the league, 83.9. He does everything. There's no one in the league right now that does this better, mugging the line of scrimmage and then getting deep back into a deep zone. He is the poster child for it right now. Yep. Extremely high FBI. Another one is their edge defender, Van Ginkel, really getting after the quarterback. Van Ginkel, 77.1. He's the 19th highest graded edge defender right now. And then linebacker Blake Cashman, really good in coverage, 6th highest graded linebacker at stack backer position, coverage grade of 80.7. Those are your Tuesday players for the Vikings defense. Now, when we switch to their offense, Tuesday players, obviously, it goes without saying. Justin Jefferson, an absolute dog, 81.1, eighth highest graded receiver. You got Aaron Jones, 81.4, the fourth highest graded running back. And then Sam Darnold, got to get pressure in his face. You can't let him sit back there and pick you apart. He's sitting in there at 82.3, the seventh highest graded quarterback in the league. So those are your Tuesday players that you're game planning against in Sunday's game. Anything else, Emilio, you got, man?
No, I think that's it. Van Ginkel, he's not the biggest edge rusher, but he 6'4", 240. So maybe we try to run it at him, sort of thing. Maybe we try to get him off his speed game. They got Blake Cashman back there as a backer. We just got to keep an eye on him. It's Jordan Love's played against him, them before, so I like that. I like the odds there. If Malik's out there, I think that we got to keep leaning on that QB run just because it gives us that third dimension. But Matt will definitely scheme something up. I think he's got a couple tricks up his sleeve. He hasn't showed us his whole playbook, obviously. And it definitely needs to be a team win, and we have to come out positive in the turnover differential. And we talk about the offense defense matchups, this and that. It's going to come down to score and time of the score and the time that's left. That's what football comes down to. That red zone is going to be key for that scoring part. We need to convert. We have to be plus 50, 75%. I'd like it to be 100% conversion rate, but it's going to be a good game.
Definitely. We got Skull for Life in here. Barber 1975 said it's going to be a game. It's going to, man. This is what many people are dubbing. This is the game of the year so far, right? This is possibly the two best teams in the NFC. I think the Vikings have earned that a little more than the Packers so far with their strength of schedule as opposed to the Packers. But going to be a lot of fun to see this one unfold at Lambeau for sure, man. I can't wait. So appreciate you swinging through, Skull. That's awesome that you dropped in, man. All right, so with that being said, let's get out of here, man. We will be back tomorrow. Here's the deal. A lot of storms still rolling through. I'm either going to go live tomorrow morning or I'm going to go live tomorrow evening. Probably won't be two shows, so I'll try to unfold all that as quickly as I can, unless Emilio and the guys want to do an evening show, even though I do a morning show. There's a good chance I'll be out of the loop tomorrow night because we're going to be working way late tomorrow night. So with that being said, we'll definitely do a show tomorrow. I had some Patreon questions from our Patreon group. So, guys and gals, I'm going to get those in tomorrow. I had them pulled up, but we just ran out of time. So we'll hit those first things first tomorrow. I'll make a note so I don't forget. And, yeah, we'll plan on seeing y'all tomorrow. Emilio, appreciate your time, buddy. This was fun.
Definitely. Everybody stay safe out there. Anyone in the past, stay safe. And we've got a little football on tonight. Enjoy it. But Packers coming up this weekend, man. It's going to be a good one.
Yeah, Dallas just scored, so it's now going to be 7-3. Dallas, we got a flag on the play. Hold the phones.
Looks like our offense out there.
This is what you tuned in.
Can we clean those up too, real quick? Can we just clean up the penalties this week?
Just a couple.
If we could keep it to less than 5, I'd be happy.
That was the other thing too, man. I already deleted the graphic here, but that was the other thing that really played a role in that win over Houston for Minnesota. They had 38 yards of penalty yards to their advantage. They won a turnover differential. They essentially won the middle 8 by 30 seconds.
Yep.
And they had the penalty yards. Going to be a little bit different at Lambeau. I believe that. Packers have been heavily penalized. I'm telling you, man.
Matt's going to clean it up.
He's going to clean it up. And he's also sending tape in showing the officials, hey, you missed this, you missed this. It's going to swing back sooner or later. So
yeah, I thought he was going to be mad the first game. He's got to be mad by the fourth game. Yes, exactly. Do we know who the crew is? I'm sure Tim's doing a little research.
He already talked about it. I've already forgotten his name, but Tim didn't think highly of him either, which I haven't heard Tim brag on any officials, so, to be honest with you. I know this, though. If the flags get out of control, we're calling this guy. I promise.
Oh, definitely.
So I'm going to be staring at the screen like this. The Packers have 10 penalties for 90 yards. I'm going to be like this the whole time. What the hell is going on? So, all right.
We're running sprints on Monday.
Yeah, shout out to our boy. What was it, Mark Bavaro? Is that his name?
Mark Bavaro. Tucker Craft reincarnated here.
I guarantee you there was no performance enhancers there on those biceps in the 80s. They didn't have that stuff back then. But, all right, we're out of here. Appreciate everybody hanging out. We will see you tomorrow. For those of you listening on the pod, thank you for making us a part of your day. As always, let's go out and be the change we want to see in the world, and go Pack Go.